Today I want to make a video about Onshape's assembly feature. When working in Onshape or any other CAD tool for that matter, if you have multiple parts and you need to put them together, often that's either tricky or kind of laborious. So what Onshape does is it takes your separate parts and gives you a new studio called an assembly that where you can kind of put pieces together and sort of play with them like uh yeah. So what I've done today is I've created some simple little building bricks that we can have a look at how we put them together in the assembly. And then in a later video, I want to show you how more to work within an assembly and how you can use that to your advantage. So let's go to the desktop. Before we get going on this, let me tell you about our sponsor, Onshape. Whether you're a professional engineer, a hobbyist maker, or a student just getting started, having the right CAD software makes all the difference. What makes Onshape incredible is that it's entirely cloud-based, so it works on practically anything with a web browser, your laptop, tablet, phone, or a Chromebook. No heavy installations, no version control headaches, and sharing your designs with collaborators or clients is instant. When you sign up, you're automatically directed to the plan that fits your needs, whether you're working professionally, tinkering in your garage, or learning in the classroom. Stop letting your software hold you back. Onshape is the CAD system I use. Try Onshape Pro for free for up to 6 months at onshape.pro/CanRaw-creations. So this is my little assembly where I've created some simple little parts. They're just building blocks that I quickly threw together for demonstration purposes. So I'm going to link this document in the description so you can copy it and work on it yourself if you want to have a look at, well, the pieces. So let's look at just some of the ways we can work within this and how we can get to this point. Now this document has a couple of little cool features. It has this slider that lets me just slide this little stick through a hole. It also can rotate, and this should be set up to be somewhat realistic. We can certainly improve upon that at some point if we wanted to. But the purpose of this is that if I go into any one of these parts, and let's say I'm going to go into this green base, I'll find it over here on the left, and I'll open that part studio in specifically. Now let's try to do something really simple and just extrude one of the sides to make it look different than the others. Now if I now go back into my assembly on the left side, I'll give it a little bit of time and it should just update. And there we go. So what this means is that I can work on just one specific part and not have to load in all of the other parts. That'll save me time and resources. And also it makes it easier for me to visualize what I'm doing sometimes. Other times I might need another part in my part studio to reference. But in this case, it's as simple as being able to work on one individual part instead of having to load the entire part studio. Now, how do we go about and get pieces into this? So it's fairly simple. We go up to the left corner, hit insert, and choose the block that we want to make. And in this case, I'm just going to choose a 2x2 plane. Yeah, let's do that, 2x2. And from here, I can fully move this around. The important thing to note that if I try to move this main assembly, that won't move at all. So this main assembly is sort of anchored to our origin. So if I go onto my left instances menu and I toggle the visibility of the origin, you'll see that the origin is right here. And what I've actually done is I've attached this big green plate to the origin. And the process to do that is exactly the same as what I'm about to do. So right now I want to put this let's see. I'm going to put it at the top here. So I want to put it on top of this gray piece. And as you see, it's kind of tricky to line this up manually. So let's use the assemble feature to help us guide that. So at the top left, I'm going to choose fastened mate. So fastened mate is exactly what it sounds like. It takes two specific spots or surfaces and then mates them together, and they won't move from there. So now it's asking us for the mate connectors. So I know that I'm going to use this part. So in this instance, I can select just about any one of these little mating points. But for simplicity, I'm just going to treat these as building bricks. And I want to match up one of these building brick studs to another one. So I'll select the middle part of the underside of this one. And I'll rotate my camera so that I can view this part here. So let's just select one of these, and I'm going to select this one. Now that puts them together, but as you can see, it's not correctly assembled. I need to rotate this red brick 180 degrees, actually 90 degrees, to make it fit onto here. So we have this little menu that popped up as we did the initial connectors. So let's try to reorient the secondary axis, and that'll just rotate my part on this mate connector. So if I do that enough times, it should go back to its original state, or in this case, it's going to fix the issue that I have with the part being offset. As soon as that is done, I can click the green checkbox. So now this part is fully adhered to the gray part, and that means that I can grab and move this and it won't move because it's a fastened mate, so it shouldn't move. For this next demonstration, I'm going to show you how we do this sliding mate. And at the same time, we're going to have a look at the rotation. First, I need this little axle piece that I've created, and I can insert that by selecting insert and then selecting the axle. Next, we need to put this axle into the hole that we've designed for it. For this first demonstration, I'm just going to use this revolute mate. So that means that the part will be able to revolve inside of the hole. So now I select the revolute mate. I go to the top here and I'm just going to select this edge. I usually prefer to do it on the end of parts. You could choose the middle or the other end if that is what you need. So finally, I'm going to rotate to select the other mate and then click on that circle. So that sets my little axle into the hole, and I am now able to also move that. Now, if we look at this, the initial one that I had on previously, you can see that it rotates, but it also slides. So we can change that fairly simple, and that is to go back into our revolute mate on the left side at the bottom, and then we can change that from revolute to cylindrical. So cylindrical is pretty much a combination of a sliding mate and a revolution mate. And if I now hit the green checkbox, you'll see that I'm able to slide and also rotate. There is one more feature that I want to have a look at in another video, which is adding limits so you don't have this happening where you can move things too far. But that is another video. So next we're going to have a look at the sliding feature. Now I need a part to slide. So I'm just going to go in and select my little 2x4 tall. And as you'll see, I did make a hole in this that matches exactly with this part. So to set up a sliding mate, all you really need to do is go up into the top left, find the slider mate button, click that, and now we need to find the connectors. Now generally for slide, it's important to note the axis that this is going to move on. So what I normally use is I'll go in here and I'll find the edge and the end of an edge and click that mate. And then I'll go to my other part, find a similar edge that will match that in my part, and put that on the same edge. We can use the reorient secondary axis to fix any mistakes that we've done or if it needs to be reorient, or we can even flip it completely if that is needed. But for my case right now, it's not needed. So right now, I can close my mate tool, and I will be able to move this back and forth. Now you will see, as with the previous one, there's no limits on this, so I can theoretically move this part all the way over here, and it'll still be connected to my initial peg over here. Now, one thing to note is that when you create assemblies, especially with moving parts, the initial grounding, if you could say, into the origin is really important. So if I go in and I simply remove or suppress this initial mate into the origin, that would mean that everything now becomes movable. And sometimes that is a feature you want, but for the most part, I don't think that is a good situation to be in. So let's go ahead and just unsuppress that so that it attaches to the middle origin. Now, how would this look like in a full assembly? So let's open one of my projects and have a look. So now we're inside the main CAD file for my personal Delta Flyer. This is the file that is a direct copy of the one that's published. But in this one, I'm using it sort of as a platform to work on my modifications or try new things. And the fun thing about this file is that it's fully set up to work with all the limitations. So if we zoom into this tool head and grab a hold of any part of it, I'll be able to move it around just like a normal printer would. So you'll see that I have used some ball connectors on the assembly here. All the screws are mounted with assemblies. And that means that in this case, I can fully test the movement of the printer simply by dragging and testing. Another thing to note about this document is that I've specifically done something that kind of changed how I work in a lot of these larger assemblies, and that is to have sub-assemblies. Now on the left side here, you'll see that I have my top cover assembly, I have my top frame assembly, I have my upright frame assembly, tool head, carriages, and so forth. So on the left side here, we can go in and have a look at just the frame, and you'll see that the first 4 files in my frame folder here are all just assemblies. So if I wanted to work on just a small part of my build, I don't have to load the entire assembly. I can just load parts of it. So let's just look at the top frame assembly by clicking on the assembly link in the side here. So right now, only one of the parts is showing. That is because the last time I was in here working, I only needed this one. So let's right click, show all. And what it's going to do is it's going to load out in every part that is in the assembly, as well as all the mate connectors. Now you'll see that there's a lot of small mate connectors everywhere because this file, or this entire printer project, it contains all the fasteners, which makes it into a lot of little connecting points. So let's hide these to make it easier to look at. And to do that, you simply press Shift and P on your keyboard, and it'll remove just the mate connectors and leave you with the finished assembly. So now let's just do something a little bit crazy here, and let's insert a part. So I'm just going to go into Insert, and I'm going to grab this apex clip right here, and I'm going to put it there. And now I'm going to make this a fastened mate, and I'm going to put this apex clip right there. And then let's flip that primary axis to make it stick out at the top there. I'm going to hit the green check mark. And now if I close this and I'll go back to my main assembly, so this is the master assembly of the entire printer, and then I'll zoom in and let's hide this one panel. You'll see that the apex clip has been integrated fully into my main assembly, even though I just added it into my sub-assembly. So working in these kinds of assemblies, it makes it way easier for you to isolate just parts of a build and maybe work on one feature and get that fixed, and then set that into your main assembly at the end. So that is my introduction to assemblies and how to use them in your projects. Hopefully you'll be able to use this in your projects moving forward. So in another video, I'm going to expand on this assembly function and teach you how to work in an assembly and even use other parts from another assembly to create your parts. So have a good one.